We've just talked about 6 tips for working together and avoiding conflict. So in this next piece, let's take a look at 2 particular parts of your handouts. One of them is taking a look at adapting your style. And again, we're going to take a look at the D, the I, the S, and the C, and bring in some components there that are essential for you and I to know as we work with the different styles to avoid conflict. Look at your handout there in your wheel. Again, it's titled Adapting Your Style, and you can see around the wheel various adjectives and so forth. This one goes into a little more depth here. You can see both recognizing different people's differences in styles in terms of their body language, their tone, and so forth. This is one that we haven't talked a lot about, but this piece of information gives you a lot of data for how the different styles vary in terms of other characteristics that we haven't particularly talked about so far. So study this particular piece and use that as a reference point. Let's look at the next piece then we talk about. As we begin to identify styles, then one of the questions is, well, how do we blend them? How do we, once we recognize a person's behavior style, then how do we adapt ours, if you will, to blend with that person? And this one talks about strategies for blending, which is an excellent handout. I'm not going to cover all these areas for you, but this particular handout is noteworthy, if you will, of study. So put a little check by it and go back and review this often. Here you can see it talks about the D, the I, the S, and the C. And it talks about things that they want. What are some of the key characteristics that each of these styles desire? What are their needs, if you will? And then what are some of the ways that you can work with that particular style? So use this handout and refer to it often as you work with your staff and your team, and recognizing not only what those styles are, but then how do I blend, if you will, how do I work with that style?